Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include the Guiding Movement honour 3 young people with a banquet. Egan Anderson is here with the court report. Our MHA Calvin Parsons stopped by for a visit. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack and more coming up after this.
In West Africa, when rain is scarce, crops fail, forcing rural people to move to cities in search of a means to provide for their families. With the help of USC Canada, villagers in northern Mali are fighting the pressure to leave with projects focused on market gardens, small credit schemes, and improved soil conservation methods. Help the people of Mali fight back against desertification and drought. Support USC Canada today.
On Friday, January the 14th, the Guiding Movement held a banquet for 3 Pathfinders who were receiving the highest honour in the Guiding Movement. The Pathfinders are the oldest group of young people we have in our Guiding Movement here in Burgeo. Dana Pink, Crystal Leanne, and Beth Ann Ingram were honoured with what was called a Canada Cord banquet. These 3 girls have worked for 3 years to receive their Canada Cord. As part of the requirements for the Canada Cord, the 3 girls had to make a short speech.
Invited guests, I'm here tonight to receive a special honor, a Canada Cord that is presented to girls who have gone through the Pathfinder movement. This prestigious award is given to us for our hard work and dedication through the past 4 years. We sold cookies, planned camps, delivered Valentine balloons, and collected garbage around town, always at scene in the cold, wet, and wind. Although we did work hard, most of it was enjoyable work. The work included getting to know the elders of the community, showing a little kindness to the sick, and becoming friends with people you might have otherwise never have had the privilege of knowing. Pathfinders was just the final step of a worthwhile journey for me. I started in Sunbeams at 5 and moved out to Grannies, then Girl Guides, and finally Pathfinders. These groups instilled in me memories and morals that I will never forget. It started with simple things like the importance of sharing. Then it evolved into how a simple act of a smile may brighten the dreariest day. Now I find myself here 10 years later and full of knowledge about sharing, caring, and lending a hand. The caring and lending a hand is still very much a part of who I am. It is the reason why I am a youth center volunteer and a hospital volunteer. I learned at an early age that some of the best feelings you can get come from helping others.
Just do cheating. Taking off, putting off another one, thing. Okay. Taking off, putting another one. Confused.
Good evening, parents, invited guests, fellow guides, and guiders. My name is Crystal Leanne, and I'm happy to be receiving the Canada Cord this evening. Guiding has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. The movement was first started in 1924 as I had proud and recognized history of getting young people involved throughout the world. The environment as well as the community are 2 main things that are stressed throughout the movement. Young people get involved with their environment by going on hikes, camping, and planting seeds, like the Tom with sprinkled grass seeds at United Church Yard. They also get involved with their community by doing garbage sweeps, taking part in church parades, and volunteering. Most of all, it is a way for youth to meet new people and make friends. As the Spark Promise quotes, I promise to share and be a friend. One of my favorite camps I remember was this Stag Lake. While I was in Guides, the brand new guides came over to go with us, and it was a great chance for us to meet new people. We all got along fine and made some very good friends. Throughout Guides, there are many opportunities to learn new things, working on badges, camping, hiking, and sometimes traveling. One great experience that the Pathfinders had 3 years ago was a chance to go to North Sydney. While there, we stayed at the Just Hotel and had a taste of the city life. It was really fun. Some of the Pathfinders had never been to Nova Scotia before, so I really enjoyed it. For me, it was the first time I crossed the Gulf on a boat, and a trip that I will never soon forget. Guarding also teaches you morals, like the birdie motto, lend a hand, as well as teaching you to be responsible, as the guard motto, saying always be prepared. One of the first things we talked about while doing badges was what to do in certain emergency situations, like if someone is choking, if there is a fire, if someone is being harassed, and many other things, such as the effects of tobacco. Some of the things we learned will help us be more prepared for certain situations throughout life. Overall, guarding has been a very positive experience, and I encourage all of the younger people to continue through the movement.
Still got my cord. The cord's not going out. And I said, no, the cord is not going out. So there is your cord. We have 2 new ones for you guys. We give her the antique one.
Evening Sparks, Brownies, Girl Guides, Pathfinders, Leaders, and invited guests. Tonight I am very pleased to be receiving my Canada Cord. I have been in the guiding movement for the past 9 years, and these 9 years have been very enjoyable. I started Brownies when I was 6 years old. The meetings were held on Friday nights at the community center. My Brownie leaders were Mrs. McDonald, Brown Owl, Mrs. Pink, Snowy Owl, Mrs. Rose, Tiny Owl, Mrs. Warren, Red Owl, and Mrs. Dolman, Busy Bee. In Brownies, we made crafts, played games, and worked on badges. The first craft that I made, I thought I did a great job, and couldn't wait to show my mom. My mom told me I did a great job. I found out later that she had to call Busy Bee to find out what it was. It was actually a house made from cross stitch. After 3 years in the Brownies, I went to Girl Guides. My leaders for Girl Guides were Mrs. Kendall, Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Lushman, Mrs. Hare, Mrs. Hescott, and Mrs. Keeping. We held our meetings on Tuesday nights at the parish hall. My first camping trip was at Man Rock Pond, where we slept in tents for 2 nights. My second camping trip was at Stake Lake, where we joined the Ranier Girl Guides. In this camp, I remember getting homesick. After 3 years in the Girl Guides, I went to Pathfinders. My leaders were Mrs. Marson and Miss Sims, and we had our meetings at the parish hall. During those 3 years, I began working on my Canada Cord. During the first year, I did my bronze emblems and camped at Man Rock Pond. The second year, we worked on our silver emblems and camped at Sammix Provincial Park. We also went on a trip for a weekend to Sydney, Nova Scotia. During the last year of Pathfinders, I worked on my gold emblems and went on a camping trip in Chrisley's cabin. Some memorable moments that I'll always have about being in Pathfinders are once when I went to Man Rock Pond for Pathfinders, I was supposed to take Dan's flag. I was thinking I had to put it off. Being not quite awake at the time, I asked the girls where the flag was, because I couldn't find it. They told me that the flag was at the top of the flagpole.
The Sparks recited a poem for families. Brownie Bethany Ann read a poem, as did Girl Guide Gina Billard. Pathfinder Carolyn Green also read a poem called When You Thought I Wasn't Looking. Angela Peterson and Kristen Janes were enrolled as Pathfinders. Commissioner Patricia Sims thanked the Lioness for sponsoring this event and being sponsor for the Guarding Movement for a number of years. The parents for supporting their girls and the Guarders for all their hard work and dedication. After the meal was cleared away, everyone enjoyed some singing around the campfire. We would like to congratulate Dana, Crystal Lee, and Beth Ann on completing their Canada Cord and wish them every success in any future endeavors. Now over to Constable Egan Anderson with the court report.
Good evening, I'm Constable Egan Henderson with this week's court report. Court was held on Tuesday, January 18th. Judge LeGros was presiding. A total of 8 people appeared charged with 13 offenses under the criminal code. A 42-year-old male from Burgeo was charged with uttering threats. He pled guilty and was given 2 years probation. A 30-year-old male from Burgeo was charged with assault and breach of probation. He changed his plea to guilty prior to sentencing and will be sentenced on March 29th. A 17-year-old male young offender from Burgeo, charged with assault and mischief to property, pled guilty. Sentencing will also be held on March 29th. A 27-year-old male from Burgeo, charged with assault and mischief to property, failed to appear. A warrant was issued for his arrest. An 18-year-old male from Ramia was charged with mischief to property and entered a not guilty plea. His trial was set for May 17th. A 42-year-old male from Burgeo, charged with assault, also pled not guilty, and his trial will also be held on May 17th. A 49-year-old female from Deer Lake, charged with assault and forcible entry, entered not guilty pleas on both counts. Her trial is also set for May 17th. And finally, a 19-year-old male from Fox Roost, Newfoundland, charged with illegal possession of alcohol and breach of probation, was sentenced on January 18th. He received a $150 fine for the Liquor Control Act violation and a $100 fine for the breach of probation. That's the court report for this week. I'm Egan Henderson. Thank you.
On Wednesday of this week, our MHA and newly appointed Justice Minister, Calvin Parsons, stopped by our office for a visit. In our studio today, we have with us our MHA, Calvin Parsons, and newly appointed Minister of Justice. First of all, we'd like to congratulate you on your appointment to Minister of Justice.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to our studio again.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Yes, it's nice to have you. Since you've only been in politics for less than a year, did this appointment come as a surprise to you?
Very much so. Being legally trained, of course, I guess every lawyer aspires to be the Minister of Justice, if he could. It was very pleasing and very surprising. And I'm just delighted, not only for myself, but for the advantages I think that it will bring to the district, even more so.
It's quite an important portfolio. What will this appointment mean now, will you have to spend more time in St. John's and list in your district?
Yes, in addition to being an MHA, of course, which is my first priority, because everything else is secondary. If you're not MHA, you never get to be the Minister of Justice. And if you don't perform your duties as an MHA, you soon certainly won't be for very long. So there's the MHA duties, and also now you have the ministerial duties for your department, which gives you a provincial focus, because the issues you deal with, of course, aren't just for Burgeo-Lapoile anymore, they're for the whole province. And also you have national obligations as to how our justice system fits in with the rest of Canada. But in addition to that, you also have the cabinet responsibilities, which itself is a time-consuming and very responsible obligation that you had to fulfill. And there's committees of cabinet that's going to take more than the 24 hours, I would think, that's in any day.
Can you tell us a little bit about how your job as Minister of Justice will be as compared to MHA? Like, for example, when you're MHA, you're kind of concentrating on your district.
Yes, as an MHA, my duty, I felt, and an obligation, and certainly my commitment to the people, was to work as long and as hard as it took to solve the problems for Burgeo-Lapoile. And we certainly have our fair share of problems in this district. But it was related only to district problems. And we were fortunate in the past year. We put a system in place. I like to be organized, and I got fairly well organized. We put the constituency office in the district, which was the first time in history that I've done that, and albeit I took some flack from some people in government circles for doing that. But to me, if that's the role, is to look after the district, you do that best by having your office in the district. It allows for personal contact and so on, upfront and personal, and that's the way I like it. And so I think we're efficient in getting that in place. We've had the constituency clinics. We've had several of those throughout the district. And again, that allows people to come in, sit down face to face, discuss your problems, and that's the way you work and resolve issues. And of course, I had lots of time as an MHA. I made a point in the past year of meeting with various groups in Burgeo, for example, fire departments, educators, the BDDB, community council, establishing a good relationship with council and the various projects that they have on the go. And I've met hundreds of people here since last February. So I had lots of time to do that. The downside of the appointment, I guess, is that I'm not going to get to do that personally myself as much as I would like to and as much as I've had the opportunity to do because of the other obligations that come on board now. Now that's going to mean I just can't forget my duties and my obligations to the district, of course, and I have no intention. As I say, that is my first priority, will remain my first priority. So I'll have to make some administrative changes. There will be additional staff put in place so that if I'm not here, the people of this district, of course, will still have my district office, but there will also be an executive assistant hired in the near future so that my eyes and ears can be here and people can still, if not see me personally, at least know that their concerns are being dealt with at an eye level as well.
Oh, very good. Now, last week, of course, crab quota is a topic of conversation in this town. Now, last week you were supposed to travel to Ottawa for a meeting concerning the quotas. And when Mayor Ann returned, he put a notice on our community channel 10 saying that the meeting went well. Now, would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, originally we did have a meeting on January the 6th at St. John's. Greg Hillier of the BDDB and Mayor Han and the mayors from Galtus and Ramey were there, as well as the economic development officers from the different towns. And we met to plan a strategy as to where we go from here now that the exploratory is over. And we had meetings arranged through Oliver Langdon's office with John Effort, with FFAW, and so on to find out if we could get a strategy of where to go from here and to make sure that everybody was pulling on the rope at the same time in the same direction. That meeting took place in St. John's. It was very productive, I thought, and very positive. Everybody does want to see the south coast of Newfoundland have a crab quota and to see that the plants are opened. The difficulty, of course, is we only had an exploratory up to last fall. The figures and the facts are not in yet and have not been compiled from the exploratory. According to the DFO officials, they won't be finalized until sometime in February, probably towards the late February. Now, once that's determined, of course, that information will go from the provincial branch of federal DFO to the minister in Ottawa, Mr. Dhaliwal, and I guess him, in consultations with his officials, they have to make a decision after considering the facts and the figures. First of all, should there be an increase in the quota? Now, the quota was for the offshore about 6,000 tons. In order to get some stabilization on the south coast, that's the first decision that has to be made. All indications are that the exploratory in terms of catch rates were excellent. So we're certainly hoping that there will be an increase in the cod quota. Once that major hurdle is gotten over, the next step, of course, is to decide how any such quota will be caught, who would do the catching, where it would be processed, and that's a lot of complex issues. You have a lot of parties involved, and it's going to require, of course, some lengthy and maybe hard-knocking negotiations to make sure that what we need to do and want to do on the South Coast gets done. So, but the first step is to get the quota, and the rest is all for naught. If we don't establish a quota, you can't negotiate the other things that need to be done. The concept, of course, is to hopefully get a regional quota or a cooperative quota that would come to the plants on the south coast in those communities. And then you have issues that will no doubt spring out of it, such as how many plants. We've always had a very unified effort on behalf of Burgeo, Ramia, and Galtas, and that's still our focus. We intend and want to stay all for one and one for all is the motto. And we want to make sure there's enough quota for everybody. And once there is a quota established, how do we spread it around? So everybody understands the complexity of the issues. We all understand and realize that we have to get Mr. Dhaliwal, first of all, to make a commitment to a quota increase. Secondly, once that's done, resolve the issues of catch, as I indicated, and get some designation that it will come to the South Coast area, some kind of regional quota sort of thing. In furtherment of those objectives, after our meetings in St. John's in January, the politicians, we'll say, it was Oliver Langdon, Bill Matthews, John Effort, the Provincial Minister of Fisheries, and myself, and a gentleman, Mr. Short, Max Short with DFO, who's the federal government representative in Newfoundland, made arrangements to go meet with Mr. Dhaliwal to make the case that we need the quota, we need the designation of a regional quota, and then we'll look after issues such as how we divide it up amongst ourselves and so on. I was supposed to be on that trip. It took place last Thursday, but unfortunately, or fortunately I guess, I received a call on Wednesday from the Premier inviting me into the Cabinet, which meant I didn't get to the meeting because I was sworn in on Thursday morning. But I have been brought up to date by Bill Matthews and by Oliver Langdon, and both of them indicate to me that the meeting with Mr. Dhaliwal was very positive. They stressed the case as to what we need, and it's a case of letting him know that we aren't quiet, we are prepared, we've done our own work, we're ready to roll, we can do what we had to do, but we just want to know that he's in our corner with us and that he will make whatever decisions we need to be made for us.
Okay, so it's probably still a waiting game?
It's still a waiting game, as I say, until the figures are finalized by DFO from the exploratory. Nothing else can roll. Everything will roll from that. Then it's a matter of how fast it will roll.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that's what it is. We have to wait and see.
I'm sorry for such a long-winded explanation,
but,
but,
well, that
I trust it did
Yeah.
explain in detail where we're coming from on this issue.
I'll just touch base with you now about the community complex school. Do you have any more information on that, updates on that? Or?
I'm due to meet today, actually.
Okay.
As this is being taped, I have a constituency clinic booked today for Burgeo. So one of the groups that I'm meeting with are concerning the complex. So at this point, there have been some developments. I don't know if it would be proper for me to get into the details without having discussed them with them at first.
Yeah.
But let's just say that everybody is still actively pursuing the concept of a community complex, and it's a matter of, again, ironing out the details.
Very good. So is there anything that you would like to have before we go?
I'd like to stress the fact that I have been, I think, very accessible in the last year, and that is my priority. I made the commitment when I got elected as to working as hard and as long as it took, and I'd just like to renew that commitment, and I'm hoping that the appointment as Minister of Justice and Attorney General, although it puts extra duties and responsibilities on me, I hope the people of Burgeo-Lapoil and certainly the people of Burgeo realize where my heart and my head is. I've not only had the benefit of meeting hundreds of people since the election, but I've befriended a lot of them, and I look forward to not only being here, of course, and working with you and for you, but also spending time here to socialize and enjoy the people here. And I've done that in the past, and I fully intend to do it in the future. And if there's ever anything that the people here, whether you be a group, a municipality, an organization, or an individual, my not being personally present all the time doesn't mean that you can't access me. The staff will be in place, and I've made a commitment. I don't like having on-return phone calls, and if anything, I've tried to establish that I return my calls, and I fully intend to continue with that. And I encourage people to call. By all means, do so.
And we thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule today to drop by and say hello to us.
No problem, and any time you ever need, just call.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
Communication is the beginning of understanding, and understanding is the basis for problem solving. USC Canada believes communication should know no borders. A farmer's field in Ethiopia offers innovation for old problems in Nepal. A community seed bank in Bangladesh sparks ideas for one in Mali. All over the developing world, Canadians in global partnership, finding solutions that work.
On Friday of this week, we spoke to the new Communities in Schools workers, Valerie Sims Anderson and Shannon Skinner, about their role as community coordinators. With us this afternoon are two Communities in School workers, Valerie Sims Anderson and Shannon Skinner. Our town is quite familiar with the Communities in School program. As the Community in School coordinators, what type of programs will you be offering at the elementary school this year, Valerie?
Actually, we'll be continuing some of the programs that have been started by previous CIS workers, such as the Tutors for Tuition program. Also now Shannon and I are working with Mr. Dunphy to develop a mentoring program between the high school and the elementary school. Other things such as having computers after school again, which the kids really enjoy, and we're looking into having a breakfast program as well.
And Shannon, which programs do you have here at the high school?
A lot of programs are pretty much the same as Valerie said. We are trying to get a mentoring program after ground. That involves high school students going to the elementary school and offering one-on-one mentoring to proteges or mentees, as you call it. Also, we have the homework haven that's set up from Tuesday night and Sunday night from 7 to 9. All students are welcome to attendance in the upstairs computer room at the school. Also, the computer room is open Monday to Thursday from 3:10 to 4:30 to do up assignments or surf the net. So, and other stuff will be continuing on programs like last year, like career days and other stuff.
Okay. Now, you have a notice on the BBS community channel informing the public that you are developing a youth registry. Can you tell us what that's all about?
What the youth registry is, it's a new thing that the Communities in Schools is developing now. It's working throughout the Southwest Coast. We're looking for a list of people in the area who are between the ages of 16 and 25 who are either unemployed or underemployed and are looking for some guidance on if they're planning on looking for a job or going back to school, or they're really not sure. We're looking for a list of people that could use our help, and once we get the list, we plan on helping these people find the resources that are out there for them. So right now, we're just in the initial stages of just getting the names of the people.
Okay. As CIS coordinator, some of your programs will need volunteers. What sort of things will you need volunteers for at the elementary school?
Primarily, we're looking for volunteers in the library and the computer labs. There are other things such as bulletin boards. There's always things that need to be cut, and perhaps helping teachers in their classrooms. But primarily, it's getting the books on the shelves in the library and helping kids check out their books, and working in the computer lab during the day and sometimes after school.
Shannon, will you be using volunteers at the high school level?
Yes, we're in a need for volunteers, mainly focusing on academics, such as helping students with their reading duties. Also, we need to work on our bulletin boards at SJCH to liven up school. Anyone that does artwork are welcome to come by and paint a picture or whatever.
Okay. Valerie, the computer lab at the A.J. Matthews is very popular with the students and hasn't been operating to its full potential. Now, many people in the community don't want to work with computers because they feel they don't know enough about it. What level of computer knowledge are you looking for?
We're looking for the very basics of computers, actually. Anyone that can go into a program, start up a program, close out a program. The kids are really just beginning to learn the computers. So what we're looking for is someone that can just assist them if they're not sure, like, can I press this button, or how do I shut down this program? So really it's just the basics, and they won't be alone. I have to be there as a supervisor as well, or perhaps another teacher will. We're hoping that we get enough volunteers so that it would just be myself and the volunteers operating this after school. But it's really just the basics, and anything that they weren't sure of, I would be there to assist them. So we're not looking for anyone with a computer background or a major computer background.
Okay, now if there's someone in the community who is interested in volunteering at either of the school, how can they let you know?
You can call me at AJ Matthews. My number is 886-2543.
My number at SJCH is 886-2590.
And is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of people come and volunteer, because we really need your help at the school.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Councillor Robert Sims is here now with the council report.
Good evening. A regular meeting of the Burgeo Town Council was held on Wednesday, January the 19th. The following issues discussed at the meeting were as follows. The town have received a report from H.T. Kendall Associates on the flow monitoring and leak detection investigation that was done for the town. They checked the system for leaks, monitored the town's water usage over an extended period of time, checked the chlorine usage, and looked into the possibility of an infiltration type intake gallery. This report is at the town office and is available to anyone who wants to read it. And it's roughly 8 pages long. This was done due to the fact that we wanted to get some checking done on, because we felt that it seemed like there was the amount of water being used was rather high. So we had this Mr. Kendall come in and check out the water lines and that. And like I say, the report is at the town office for anyone who is interested in reading it. Another issue discussed, the Lieutenant Governor will be visiting Burgeo on June the 17th of this year in celebration of the 50th anniversary of the incorporation of the town. A committee is being put together to make all necessary plans for this occasion. The town has purchased a Millennium coin, and this will be presented to the first baby born in the year 2000 to a resident of Burgeo whose parents is currently living in the town. Here's the coin. We have it there for you to see. It's very beautiful, and it would be a great keepsake for someone in the millennium year. And in case, maybe someone should contact the town office when the first baby is born so that the arrangements can be made for the presentation. The issue of the education/community complex is still an ongoing issue. Council will be meeting next week to make a decision on their commitment to this project. The 2000 budget have not been adopted to date due to the fact that the town have lost approximately $28,000 because of the changes to the poll tax. Under the new Municipalities Act, spouses of jointly owned property are now exempt from the poll tax. The only ones now who will be invoiced for the poll tax will be residents who are not property owners. This meant that if you are renting property from someone else, then you will be invoiced for the poll tax. Due to this loss in revenue, Council will have to take a look at the present tax structure to see where changes can be made to recover the loss of $28,000. Another issue, there's been a lot of concern lately regarding the level of THMs in the town's water supply. The town of Burgeo's THM level, as determined from tests for previous years, is 121.7 parts per billion. This is above the national level, which is set at 100 parts per billion. The town of Burgeo will now be having regular tests done on a quarterly basis. What I can say to you is that if there's anyone out there that is concerned, where, like I say, ours tested out at 121.7 0.7 parts per billion, and the national level is 100 parts per billion. So if there's anyone out there with concerns on this, on those THMs, for further explanation on this, they should contact the town office for get a clear explanation on what this means, whether this might sound high to them or to see if we're in line with the national level. But again, the town will be carrying out regular tests on a quarterly basis to keep checking our water. Policies on the operation and maintenance of the playground and the walkway to Maiden T Hill are in the process of being done up and will be made public once they are finalized and adopted by the council. Some concerns was expressed regarding the speed limit in the school zone area. Signs will be erected indicating the school zones, and residents are asked to reduce their speed and use due care and caution when driving in those zones. The town have adopted a 10% interest rate to be applied to all outstanding taxes. This interest have now been applied to all taxes that were outstanding to January the 20th, year 2000. And finally, just a little reminder to the residents that the town purchased some little magnet calendars that can be displayed, I guess, on fridges or any mental services. They do have some available over there, so for any residents out there that would like to have this little calendar, can drop by the town hall and pick one up. The next regular meeting of the town council is scheduled for February 2nd at 7 p.m. So this time I want to thank you and good night.
The Bandwagon is one of the most popular programs we offer our viewers here at Burgeo Broadcasting System. The Bandwagon was aired on BBS starting in 1988 with hosts Clayton Mead and the late Norman Green. The program has been very successful for the past 12 years. For the Bandwagon to be successful, however, as with other programs we offer here at BBS, we need volunteers from the community. Since the 1999-2000 season has started, we have been finding it very difficult getting enough interested performers to film this program. So far this season, we have scheduled several Bandwagon tapings with residents indicating that they will perform on the show, only to find out the night of the taping these persons fail to show up. This left us with no choice but to cancel our taping. If we continue to get a poor response from the entertainment community, we will have no choice but to cancel the Bandwagon. If there is a problem why performers don't want to come to the taping of this program, we would certainly like to know. We know the Bandwagon is enjoyed by our residents, and it would be unfortunate to have to cancel the program. If you are interested in taking part in the Bandwagon, please call our office at 886-2935. Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
It takes community to heal a village. In northern Mali, USC Canada works with local partners to find community-based ways to ensure mother-child health, food security, and jobs. Canadian agencies are helping to renew and strengthen communities throughout the developing world. This means greater opportunities for global villagers. Canadians in partnership, finding solutions that work.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of an ice storm Burgeo experienced in March 1992. Let's take a look.
There were approximately 60 cable drops damaged by the glitter, as well as telephone and hydro drops. The reason for the problems was the weight of the glitter was too heavy for the wires. The glitter was a danger to pedestrians as well. As the day warmed up, large sections of glitter started falling off of the wires onto the roads and sidewalks below. However, the icicles formed on various buildings and homes around town were a very pretty sight to look at. As well, for the trees that could stand the weight, it made a very nice picture. The glitter wasn't such a pretty sight for this truck driver, however. The glitter made for very slippery road conditions, and as a result, this truck almost went into the cove near the fish plant. On time with Maritime. This truck doesn't look like it's going to be on time. It was stuck.
Good evening and welcome to the community event segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Jennifer Martz. Brad Green has joined the growing list of winners in the minor hockey pool. Cards are available starting on Mondays of each week and cost $1 each. You can pick your hockey pool cards from Jim and Ruth Tucker, Kenny Arrett, the Men's Sunday Night Dart League, and are in most stores around town. Play the minor hockey pool and you could have your name added to the long list of winners. Are you looking for a comfortable and relaxing setting to do your homework? Why not drop by the Homework Haven located in the upstairs computer room at the high school? Homework Haven is scheduled for Tuesday and Sunday nights of each week. This is a great place for you to get your homework done in peace and quiet. You may even be able to receive some help if you need it. If you are a member of the Anglican Church Junior Choir and you have decided not to return, but you have one of the blue choir t-shirts, would you be so kind as to return the t-shirts to Marlene Batcher as soon as possible? We still have a number of these t-shirts that haven't been returned. We appreciate your cooperation. With Valentine's Day just around the corner, everyone is thinking about what to get that special person in their lives. Valentine balloons are the perfect gift idea, and the Guide Movement are selling these balloons for $1 each. If you are interested in ordering a Valentine's balloon, you can do so from any member of the Guiding Movement. Secret pals are asked to please call Linda at 886-2802 or Teresa at 886-2060 to place their orders. Deadline to order is Tuesday, February 18th. Order a Valentine balloon for your special someone today, and the Guiding Movement will deliver it for you. If you collect recyclable items for the Bright Sights youth, they would like to remind you that milk cartons, Javix jars, dish liquid bottles, and newspapers are not recyclable. We would greatly appreciate it if you would remove the caps from your recyclable bottles and containers. Your support for our recycle program is appreciated. If you would like your name added to the list, please call Ada at 886-3353. If your group or organization has an upcoming event plan, we will be happy to advertise it for you. Just call the BBS office by Wednesday of each week to have items included in this portion of our broadcast. That concludes the community event segment of tonight's broadcast. See you next week.
BBS Playbill. Join us on Monday for the number 3 show in our series called The Fishery Now. Tune in on Tuesday for a rebroadcast of Pansy's Garden. On Wednesday we'll have the number 4 show in the Fishery Now series. Tune in on Thursday when we'll have a rebroadcast of the entertainment from the Sand and Sea Festival with Bits and Pieces. Join Pans and the gang for 2 stories, a craft, and lots of fun on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Pansy's Garden. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. Please stay tuned now for the entertainment from the Sand and Sea Festival with Bits and Pieces. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night.